The moment you crossed the threshold, the world began to reveal itself as more than flat or linear. You started to feel it as layered, multidimensional, a tapestry woven from thin veils, each hiding another. Most people remain on the surface, content with a simple chain of cause and effect, a daily routine of small choices, shaping fate unnoticed. They never suspect other realities existing in parallel, vibrating at different frequencies, yet always present beneath the observable world. But you have begun to sense this, because the veil is thinning. Through the emerging cracks, a strange, profound light is shining in. You are noticing coincidences, repeating signs that you once ignored, but are now too clear to dismiss. You hear faint whispers of intuition, gentle urgings that later prove to have guided you correctly. You have stepped into a zone of overlap where reality itself becomes soft and fluid, shedding its previous rigidity. Imagine your mind as a radio, for years tuned to a single frequency, the frequency of ordinary reality. Everyone around you shared it, reinforcing the belief that it was all there was. However, without conscious effort, you are now catching strange signals bleeding through from other channels. These might appear as a vivid dream, carrying an unexpected message, or an idea flashing into your mind, seemingly from nowhere. Perhaps it's an eerie sense of your future self standing just behind you, whispering directions, guiding your path. These are not mere products of imagination. They are echoes from deeper layers of consciousness, always present, just outside your previous perception. Science calls it the quantum field, a realm of potential, where particles exist as probabilities until observed, hinting at a universe far more complex than visible matter suggests. Mystics refer to it as the unseen realm, while various religions give it countless names. Yet, all point to the same fundamental truth. Every possibility, every potential, every version of you, and indeed, every possible timeline, already exists. You are only now being allowed to touch this intricate web. In ordinary life, people experience a single version of reality because their awareness is locked to a single layer. But when the door opens, when that lock dissolves, you realize you are no longer confined to just one choice or one predetermined path. You stand before an endless network of parallel possibilities, paths you have not yet walked, but which already exist in the quantum tapestry of existence. This is precisely why, as you awaken, synchronicities multiply. They are not merely lucky accidents, but profound proofs. They demonstrate that you have pierced the surface and are now touching the deeper pulse of reality itself. You begin to notice repeating numbers, chance meetings that become pivotal moments, and words or images appearing at the exact moment you need them most. This is the universe whispering to you, confirming that you are now operating within the field, the interwoven fabric of potential. Yet, a challenge invariably appears. When people first glimpse these hidden layers, they often doubt themselves intensely. They label these experiences as illusions, tricks of the mind, or mere coincidences. They employ logic to explain them away, attempting to drag themselves back to the perceived safety and predictability of their old reality. This resistance is a natural human tendency, much like how established scientific theories or economic models resist new, disruptive data, preferring the comfort of known frameworks. However, if you have come this far, understand that this resistance is merely the self-preservation mechanism of an old program operating within you. It does not want to lose control. It clings desperately to the familiar. Yet, the truth stands clearer than ever. These hidden realities are not only real, but they actively respond to your focused attention. The profound miracle is that when you observe them, when you acknowledge their existence, they grow stronger, more vivid, and more undeniable. When you honor them as legitimate signals, they guide you with increasing clarity and precision. This is the pivotal point where quantum consciousness begins to transform everything in your life. Once you truly know there are layers beneath the surface. You can no longer pretend life is random or disconnected. You begin to perceive the intimate, undeniable link between your inner state and your outer experience. You see, with startling clarity, that your emotions, thoughts, and energy are not separate from what you encounter and create outside yourself. Every layer is profoundly connected. Every signal you send inward is reflected outward with astonishing accuracy. From this moment, you are no longer a passive passenger swept along by ordinary events. Instead, you become a conscious traveler, moving deliberately among dimensions. Most of humanity never suspects this profound capability. With each intentional step you take, the quantum field answers back with reinforcing signals, events, and signs, letting you know that you are truly co-creating with it. As these responses grow clearer and more frequent, you realize a fundamental truth. You are not only the observer of your reality, but you are also a direct participant. At once, a witness and an author of your life's unfolding narrative. Take a moment to recall the strange, profoundly aligned events in your life. The ones that were too perfectly timed, too interconnected to simply dismiss as random chance. Those were not accidents. They were deliberate preparations. They were small doors, opening one after another, leading you precisely to this exact moment of realization. The universe has been reminding you, again and again, that there are many layers waiting for you to perceive and engage with. And now, you are ready to go deeper, because simply recognizing their existence is only the very beginning of the journey. Pay close attention to the small synchronicities that begin to unfold around you. They function as real-time navigational maps. You might contemplate a new direction in your life, and then, at a red light, see the precise answer or an encouraging message on a billboard. You might decide to alter your evening routine, and an old friend unexpectedly invites you for a walk at the exact time you would have been scrolling through your phone. You might wonder if these are signs. The answer lies within your body. If your chest expands, if your breath deepens, if your forehead relaxes, even if your thoughts are still wavering, take these as affirmations from your inner intelligence. You don't require superstition to interpret these subtle signals. You only need to cultivate honesty with your own subtle sensations, which have always been present beneath the noise of habit and fear. True, lasting change never seeks overt attention. It doesn't loudly announce itself or demand recognition. It arrives quietly, yet with undeniable firmness, through the simplest, most consistent adjustments. You might wake up 30 minutes earlier, and your entire day feels brighter. You drink more water, and your inner dialogue softens, becoming more compassionate. You clean your desk, and a long-forgotten brilliant idea suddenly resurfaces. You clearly say no to something misaligned, and another, more fitting door quietly opens without a sound. These seemingly minor actions are powerful vectors, gently pulling you out of states of friction and guiding you into a natural flow. The more these actions align and accumulate, the stronger the cumulative force becomes. That newfound space is the foundational beginning of quantum power. For you are actively shifting from being merely the experience itself to becoming the pure, detached awareness of the experience. This represents the very first, critical foundation for consciously choosing and embodying a new frequency. Imagine someone who has inhabited the same room for many years. The walls, the objects, the very layout remain unchanged. Yet, one day, they pause and notice that the quality of light filtering through the window feels distinctly different. When you truly understand this, you begin to feel that every moment of life carries an invisible, guiding hand. This hand arranges events, not through force or manipulation, but through an exact response to the specific frequency you emit. If deep inside you holds the vibration of desire, trust, or love, then the world around you becomes a flawless mirror, reflecting that very vibration back to you, precisely and abundantly. Conversely, If inside you still carries the vibration of doubt, anxiety, or fear, then you will also see those energies appear outside as challenging circumstances, reinforcing the inner state. You realize this is no longer an unconscious game of chance. Right now, you are not only observing reality, but actively participating in its creation, weaving its very fabric. Each thought, each feeling, each choice you make becomes a small but potent command sent into the quantum field, and the universe listens and responds with astonishing precision and immediacy. Pause and remember those moments you once called coincidences. Perhaps meeting the right person at the perfect time, or finding a line in a book exactly when you were lost and searching for an answer. Those were not coincidences in the random sense. They were the field, responding directly to your unique signal. And now you see that the sequence of such events has been only the prelude, carefully leading you to this moment of activation, this profound awakening today. Crossing this threshold is not like learning a new skill that you acquire from external sources. It is far more like wiping layer after layer of dust from the mirror of your soul, slowly discovering that your true self remains intact, radiant, and was never truly lost. This is the profound process of remembering. You are not becoming someone else. You are returning to what you have always been. A pristine, powerful, co-creative being. And when you realize this, you understand that the boundary between your inner and outer worlds is far more fragile and permeable than you ever imagined. Every idea you nurture inside, every vision you hold, can subtly seep through that veil and actively shape the world outside. And in return, every event, every person, every circumstance you encounter is a message, awakening something profound and often latent within you. Reality transforms from a distant stage into a dynamic, intimate dialogue. You are no longer just a spectator. You are standing as the primary scriptwriter, actively crafting your experience. Notice how even your breath is a message. The moment you focus on it, you realize life is not only happening outside you, but flowing through every single cell of your being. This very awareness turns your breath into a direct bridge, connecting you deeply and profoundly to the present moment. When you truly pay attention, you can sense that even your heartbeat has its own distinct voice, merging with the pulse of the universe, reminding you, unequivocally, that you and the universe were never truly separate. From here, you begin to see your responsibility with crystal clarity, because you now know, undeniably, that you are a co-creator. You can no longer ignore the immense power of your thoughts or indulge in chaotic, uncontrolled emotions, because each fragment of energy you release falls into the quantum field as a seed for tomorrow's reality. This is the moment when you feel both incredibly excited and perhaps slightly unsettled, because you understand that the era of innocence and unconsciousness is over. Every step you take now leaves a discernible imprint on the fabric of reality. You learn to trust the subtle daily evidences, for they are the fundamental building blocks of profound transformation. And when this new foundation is firmly established, the appropriate doors will open as a natural and effortless consequence. You once firmly believed that with sufficient willpower and unwavering discipline, every aspect of your life would inevitably change. You held the conviction that if you simply maintained a positive outlook for an extended period, reality itself would be compelled to shift in your favor. Yet, after countless dedicated attempts, you repeatedly found yourself reverting to the same old patterns, falling back into the comfort and predictability of familiar loops. This persistent cycle is not indicative of personal weakness or a fundamental lack of determination on your part, but now you feel yourself immersed in an ocean of endless waves, and you are the one consciously deciding which current to ride, which destination to navigate towards. Peace increases, clarity expands, synchronicities multiply, and resistance steadily fades, until only the smooth, effortless current of right alignment remains. Breathe deeply now, allowing yourself to feel the subtle but undeniable change weaving through every cell of your being. Allow your heart to open fully, to receive the truth that you have entered a new phase. A phase where you not only observe reality, but actively, consciously, co-create it. And understand that this very moment is the clearest confirmation that you have been prepared for a long time to go forward, to step into this journey of expansion, where your deepest truth and your inherent power will be revealed, piece by magnificent piece. You have realized that your mind is indeed like a radio. For many years, it has been predominantly tuned to a single frequency, the frequency of familiar, consensus reality, where most people live, where events seem to follow events in an endless, repeating cycle of days. But now that the door has opened, you are beginning to hear other signals, new channels bleeding through. These appear not because you tried to force them, but because they flow in naturally, effortlessly. Sometimes they manifest as a dream so vivid and potent that you feel it is more real than your waking life. Sometimes it is a sudden, brilliant idea flashing into your consciousness, and then, almost immediately, the outer world sends a confirming sign, an undeniable echo. And sometimes, it's the profound feeling of a future version of yourself standing beside you, whispering guidance, clearly showing you the path you must take. These experiences can no longer be dismissed as mere imagination, for they repeat with a precision that absolutely defies coincidence. They are unmistakable signs. The observing mind, capable of conscious thought, is often just the surface layer. The real control patterns, the deep programming that shapes our experiences, reside beneath this surface. Here, intricate layers of neural signals, deeply embedded emotions, and potent memories intertwine to form persistent, repeating energetic structures. Every time you react in a habitual way, specific neural clusters are reinforced, strengthening that familiar pathway. Energy, by its nature, follows the path of least resistance. Mystics call them the unseen realm, while various religions give them their sacred names. But whatever the label, the fundamental truth remains unchanged. All possibilities exist side by side. Every version of you is present within countless dimensions of reality, and you are only just beginning to hear their subtle, guiding echoes. As your awareness expands, you understand that before, you were experiencing only a thin slice of life, much like seeing only one color of the vast spectrum and erroneously believing it was all that existed. For if you rely solely on willpower, any change you manage to effect will almost always be temporary and require immense, ongoing effort. However, when you learn to approach your entire energetic system holistically, when you consciously cultivate coherence between your conscious intentions and your unconscious patterns, between your thoughts and your deepest feelings, change becomes not a struggle, but a natural, effortless, and lasting unfolding. It's akin to repeatedly choosing the same song from a vast playlist of thousands. Your subconscious mind craves the familiar rhythm it already knows. Each time you listen, the same memories, neurochemistry, and emotions are re-triggered, creating a perfect feedback loop that strengthens the pattern. When mere coincidence transforms into deeply ingrained habit, true freedom of choice diminishes. You see repeating numbers, encounters that initially seem accidental but quickly become undeniable, turning points in your life, words or images appearing exactly when you need them most. All of it acts like gentle whispers from the universe, reminding you that you are now firmly in the field, that you have entered the wave zone where the world actively responds to your every vibration, your every intentional thought. Yet, at the very same time, a significant challenge emerges, because the old mind does not easily let go of its accustomed patterns. Neuroscience refers to this phenomenon as the automation of the brain, while ancient spiritual teachings call it karma or samsara, the endless wheel of repetition. Different names, same fundamental essence. Consciousness caught in its own inertia. When you consistently think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, speak the same words, and act in the same ways, your energy effectively locks itself into an old configuration. Reality, with impeccable precision, mirrors this configuration perfectly. There are no errors in this system, only accurate reflections of your inner state. If you seek irrefutable proof of the quantum field's precision, simply observe your own life cycles. They repeat with the rhythmic regularity of a mathematical equation's pulse. This very repetition, when viewed with clarity and stillness, becomes a powerful mirror, revealing the fundamental source code you are currently running. Once you know, deep within your being, that there are hidden layers beneath the surface of reality, you can no longer pretend that life is random or arbitrary. You see, with absolute certainty, that your inner state and your outer experience are so tightly linked, so inextricably woven, that they cannot truly be separated. You realize that your emotions, your thoughts, and your energetic vibration are the raw material, the fundamental building blocks, forming the circumstances you live in, shaping your entire world. And from that pivotal moment, you are no longer a passive passenger, merely sitting still on the train of life, letting external forces dictate your journey. You become the active driver. You become the conscious traveler, purposefully crossing dimensions most of humanity has never even known exist. Each step you take now is not only a step on the physical ground, but a powerful signal sent directly into the quantum field. And the field responds by bringing events, opportunities, and profound coincidences into your life with uncanny, almost miraculous accuracy. Consciousness breaks free from old orbits, not through strenuous struggle, but through the quiet power of still awareness. And as these responses grow undeniably clear, you know, deep down, that you cannot go back to the old, limited view of reality. Because once you have truly seen the intricate web of light connecting everything, you cannot pretend that it is all just fragmented, disconnected pieces. This is a subtle, yet utterly decisive shift in perception. It fundamentally changes how you see yourself in the world, your place within the grand design. Remember the times you once called coincidences, those moments when something happened so precisely, so perfectly, that it stunned you into silence. Those moments were not meant to merely surprise you. They were strategically placed to prepare you, to bring you to this very point where you recognize that it was all part of an intelligent arrangement of resonance. And now, you are truly ready to go deeper, because knowing alone is not enough. Learning to live with these layers of reality, integrating them into your daily existence, is what truly matters. Learning how to walk deliberately within the resonance, to maintain that subtle vibrational alignment, is the true, powerful step ahead. From a biological perspective, every emotion you experience is intrinsically linked to a specific chemical pattern within your body. When you persist in negative emotional states for extended periods, your body can actually become addicted to the unique chemistry associated with those emotions. The emotion effectively transforms into a substance your body craves, and your mind will then unconsciously create scenarios and situations designed to procure another dose of that familiar chemical cocktail. But at that very moment, a new, internal challenge invariably emerges. This challenge comes from the old mind, that part of you that has been with you for years, clinging to familiar patterns, and it does not want to leave its comfort zone. It whispers persistently that all of this is only imagination, that everything you see is mere coincidence, that nothing has really changed except that you are thinking too much. If you listen to these whispers, you risk pulling yourself back into the old loop, where everything is denied and rationalized away by a narrow, limiting logic. Yet, the truth stands clear and unshakable. The signals are profoundly real, and they require only one crucial thing to exist and grow stronger: your focused observation and acknowledgement. Because when you truly pay attention to them, they sharpen in clarity. When you acknowledge their existence, they become more frequent and undeniable. And when you honor them as an active, living part of a deep dialogue between you and the universe, they begin to guide you with absolute certainty and precision. At the quantum level, every emotional pattern you embody emits a distinct vibrational field. These energetic fields function as powerful attractors, drawing into your experience events, people, and situations that resonate with their specific frequency. When you vibrate predominantly with fear, life will tend to present you with scenarios that trigger and reinforce fear. Conversely, when you consistently transmit trust and positive expectation, synchronicities will begin to align effortlessly in your favor. Therefore, genuine, lasting change cannot originate from merely rearranging external circumstances. It must begin from a fundamental recalibration of your internal energetic signal. There is no true shortcut to this process, but there is an undeniable certainty: consistency. Each day, with conscious intention, you choose one new response, one new thought, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Through these consistent choices, you are systematically rewriting the deep-seated code that guides the collapse of probability waves in your life. The challenge arises because most people do not fully believe this subtle message, assuming their brain is simply filtering and exaggerating coincidences. But if you observe these phenomena closely and without bias, you will notice that the precision and repetition involved are far too delicate and specific to be mere illusion or cognitive bias. Recall a time when you were deeply unsure about making a significant career change. Suddenly, you might have heard a compelling story of someone who courageously dared to leave their comfort zone for a new venture. Then, a few days later, you unexpectedly stumbled across an article, a video, or even a casual conversation, all circling the very same theme of bold career transition. When this repetition becomes strong and precise enough to make you pause and genuinely take notice, understand that the field is actively speaking to you. But as you begin to see and experience this, you also recognize another crucial truth: that with this profound expansion of awareness comes an equally significant responsibility. You can no longer afford to let your thoughts and emotions run wild, uncontrolled, and undirected. You cannot allow yourself to sink into fear or doubt without consequences, because in this new, expanded state, your energetic vibration is amplified, made more potent. Whatever you focus on, whatever you feed with your attention and emotion, will grow faster and more powerfully. However, you will undeniably sense its absence: a profound lightness where a heavy weight once resided, a deep calm where chaos previously reigned, and a clear, unwavering clarity where confusion and fog once obscured your vision. Because you have moved beyond the old, superficial surface layer of reality, you have begun to touch the true, underlying current of deeper layers, and they are actively greeting you in their own unique language, the language of signs and meaningful coincidences. Because if you merely notice these patterns without making corresponding shifts in your behavior or perspective, the sequence will often repeat, sometimes with greater intensity, like a lesson that remains unfinished. So, each time you observe the same theme returning, do not merely stop at surprise or curiosity. Instead, consciously ask yourself, what action in your life needs to shift? What aspect needs to move into a new frequency to appropriately respond to this unfolding message? If you cultivate enough subtlety in your observation, you will begin to perceive that everything in your life is, in essence, teaching you the very same core lesson, merely presenting it in different guises. Once you discern the underlying pattern beneath the surface of seemingly disparate events, individual moments lose their power to deeply disturb or shake you. This is because you gain a profound understanding that by altering your inner frequency, the entire matrix of your outer world simultaneously reconfigures itself to match. From that transformative moment onward, each day ceases to be a mere rerun of the past, and instead becomes a fresh opportunity to etch a new, coherent signal into the quantum field. As your inner field changes, so too does your experience of time and space, and you effectively step out of the labyrinth, not through aggressive battle or struggle, but through the quiet power of absolute, lucid awareness. The very moment you consciously realize you are repeating yourself, even in the smallest, most mundane action, is the first critical quantum pivot point within the entire system of your consciousness. No external ritual, elaborate ceremony, or forceful external push is required. Only a still, profoundly lucid awareness, clear enough to perceive the familiar chain of reactions just beginning to stir, and clear enough to consciously choose not to merge with it. That precise awareness represents the vital gap between mechanical, automatic behavior and conscious choice, between ingrained habit and true freedom, between living by inertia and living with profound sovereignty. In quantum physics, this concept is sometimes referred to as the critical fluctuation point, a state in which a system becomes hypersensitive to even the smallest, most subtle change. A single act of awareness has the power to cause the probability waves to oscillate in a fundamentally different manner. In life, that moment of recognition carries the same potent vibration, the instant when your energy gains a genuine chance to break free from its old, predictable orbit and establish a completely new trajectory. Many people mistakenly believe that to effect real change, they must undertake something grand and dramatic, move to a new house, quit their job, or end significant relationships. Yet, true, enduring transformation always originates from something subtle, almost imperceptible, but powerful enough to dismantle the entire old structure from within. One moment of not reacting in the way you always have, a brief, intentional pause, a slightly deeper breath before you speak, that is the precise opening point where a new probability begins to concretely exist. Every significant journey of transformation comes with one of its most challenging demands, the imperative to create genuine space for the new to take firm root. You can immerse yourself in hundreds of books, absorb endless advice, and diligently practice all kinds of techniques and modalities. However, if your life remains cluttered and overcrowded with old habits, outdated relationships, and limiting beliefs, no truly new configuration of your reality can possibly stabilize or flourish. Reality functions much like a garden. This process requires no external force, only refinement, the quiet, unwavering courage to simply not react, to watch yourself being pulled by an old wave, while resolutely maintaining your inner center, unmoved. They persist in relationships that diminish them, driven by a deep-seated fear of confronting loneliness or the unknown. They cling tightly to limiting stories about themselves that they must always work twice as hard to be worthy, or that they will never truly be enough, because the perceived fear of the unknown often feels far greater than the debilitating pain of the familiar. But if you genuinely desire real, profound transformation, you must learn the art of intentional release. And true release is not a loss. It is, in its deepest essence, the courageous act of creating the necessary space for the field of reality to reorganize your life into a more aligned and expansive form. Remember that a tiny seed cannot grow into a magnificent tree unless its hard, protective shell first dissolves. That shell, while once essential for its protection, must now disappear so that new life, with its vast potential, can emerge. Your life follows the same profound pattern. Every recurring loop serves a specific function. It is not there to punish you, but to serve as a precise mirror, reflecting back to you what you have not yet fully seen or integrated. Each time you find yourself caught in the same scenario, pause and sincerely ask, what core energy within me is being reflected here? Perhaps it's a deep-seated feeling of being abandoned, unseen, controlled, or an underlying fear of not being inherently enough. These represent the fundamental energetic axes that have shaped your experiences thus far. We frequently mistake safety for the act of clinging or holding on. However, it is precisely this clinging to what is outdated, what has expired, that ultimately prevents you from truly feeling safe and secure within yourself. You are not rendered unsafe because you bravely let go. Rather, You are unsafe because you stubbornly continue to carry what has expired and no longer genuinely resonates with your current, evolving frequency. When you first step away from the familiar, it invariably feels difficult, as if the very ground you once knew has vanished beneath your feet. The person who once seemed to hurt you now becomes a clear mirror, revealing an unilluminated corner within your own self. Emotions cease to be perceived as enemies. Each time the loop returns, it is extending an invitation for you to reclaim your authorship over your life. If you react habitually, you remain a passive guest in your own story. If you observe with stillness, you become the conscious driver. The moment you pause to look without judgment, you step out of the automatic, reactive pattern. And once you step out, the loop loses its operator and begins to dissolve on its own. But in the context of transformation, true courage is meticulously built from a multitude of quiet, often unseen choices that no one else necessarily observes. It is the conscious decision to switch off your phone early in the evening, thereby choosing not to drown in the incessant noise and distractions of the digital world. It is the quiet strength to politely decline a social invitation or a meeting that you know will only drain your vital energy. Consciousness doesn't just subtly influence energy, it actively shapes matter itself. The loop dissolves not because you aggressively try to force it, but because you gain a profound understanding. This understanding releases vast amounts of previously trapped energy. Your body stops recreating the old, familiar chemical reactions, and your entire nervous system begins to synchronize with the new, higher frequency. Each time you accurately identify and then consciously release one such constricting thing, you clear more fertile ground for your transformation to take deep root. And then, something truly remarkable begins to happen. The emptiness that once instilled fear within you gradually transmutes into a profound sense of relief, because you are no longer burdened and dragged down by the inertia of the old. When you bravely dare to live with less, you paradoxically discover that you possess more. More energy, more creative inspiration, more present moment awareness. This is the profound paradox of letting go. Losing what no longer genuinely serves you allows you to finally possess what was always, intrinsically, yours. Think about a relationship you held on to for too long, knowing deep down that it drained your spirit, yet you stayed out of a primal fear of the emptiness that might follow its end. All that time, you poured your precious energy into meticulously maintaining a broken, outdated structure. Only when you courageously release do you truly see the expansive space for new connections, new people, and new enriching experiences to emerge. Resistance then effortlessly melts into a state of flow. In this profound state, you understand deeply that awareness is not merely a mental act, but a powerful quantum event. To perceive situations differently is to fundamentally alter the underlying structure of the energy present. A single, non-judgmental look can reshape the entire field of your reality. When you truly grasp that every reaction is, at its core, a choice, you become genuinely free. You realize you were never truly insulted. You were simply hearing an old, familiar frequency within yourself being triggered. You were never truly rejected. You were merely witnessing an aspect of yourself that still harbors doubts about its own inherent worth. Each time this deeper realization occurs, you move incrementally closer to authentic freedom. Not a freedom granted by external circumstances, but a profound liberation from the invisible, energetic architecture that once subtly governed your life. From here, the real, empowered process truly begins. You no longer strive to forcefully change the external world. Instead, you observe how the world precisely mirrors your internal state, and then diligently adjust your frequency within. When your internal frequency shifts, reality naturally follows suit, for the world is not separate from you. It is, in essence, the interactive interface of your own consciousness. Those who deeply comprehend this principle do not chase after outcomes or aggressively resist what is. They simply tune their inner rhythm with precision, and the entire system of their life effortlessly rebalances itself. The field never leaves a void unfilled. It always, inevitably, fills it with the frequency you consistently hold. So, true courage is not the act of clinging desperately to what is known and comfortable. It is, instead, the profound act of allowing uncertainty to open the way, to reveal new possibilities. Courage is agreeing to let the old shell dissolve, to let the soil be meticulously tilled, to give the nascent seed of your new self a genuine chance to live and thrive. From that point, life enters a new, transformative phase where abstract knowledge becomes embodied, lived experience. Living from that coherent state, you finally perceive the profound wonder that the universe was never truly against you. It was merely replaying what you consistently broadcasted, patiently waiting until you could recognize yourself within that reflection and return to your inherent role as the creator rather than a character lost and passive in the play. At that advanced level of awareness, old loops dissolve like morning mist, not because you actively destroyed them, but because you no longer exist at the energetic frequency where they can even find or affect you. There is a distinct stage in the process of profound transformation that most people unfortunately misunderstand. The stage when everything paradoxically seems to get worse. This is when old patterns can return with what feels like greater force, or emotional waves rise with such intensity that you might genuinely believe you are regressing. In truth, this is not a regression, but a crucial phase of compression. It represents the intensive gathering of energetic force just before a significant quantum leap. When old, stagnant energy is preparing to leave your system, it often erupts most strongly just before its final dissolution. It's like water boiling most violently right before it completely evaporates, or a flash of lightning shining at its brightest intensity just before it fades. The universe operates through natural, oscillating phases, and before you can fully enter a new, higher frequency band, you must pass through a point of maximum vibration where everything is stirred and agitated in order to be completely rearranged. Many individuals panic at this critical stage and instinctively retreat to their old, familiar frequencies, mistakenly believing they have failed. But in fact, they stop precisely at the precipice, just before the old structure is about to completely collapse. When chaos arrives in your life, it doesn't come to destroy you but to cleanse. It powerfully surfaces everything you once buried deep within, the emotions you suppressed, the limiting beliefs you denied, the old wounds you thought you had long forgotten. Nothing arises without a profound purpose. Every pain that resurfaces is a clear signal that a specific energetic field is on the verge of being released and transmuted. If you can manage to remain still, if you refuse to flee, if you dare to consciously stay present within the heart of the storm, you will begin to perceive an inherent order within the apparent chaos, a deep logic within the collapse, and new creation emerging from the depths of pain. As an old pattern energetically disintegrates, your entire energy field undergoes a profound restructuring, much like a neural or electronic system being shut down and then rebooted. It scans all existing circuits, deletes corrupted links, and diligently creates new, more efficient ones. During this intense process, the mind often feels disoriented and lost because the entire system is actively recalibrating, and your consciousness has not yet fully adjusted to the emerging new rhythm. You might experience periods of feeling uninspired, unusually weary. However, these are simply signs of a systemic restart. Do not seek to impose meaning through rational thought at this precise stage, for genuine meaning only emerges once your new frequency stabilizes. Instead, allow your body and your energy system to do their essential work. Grant yourself the permission not to know, to simply be in the in-between. The profound silence that exists between two distinct phases of life is a crucial transition zone. In this space, the old and the new no longer exist as separate entities. You no longer fully recognize who you once were, yet you don't fully know who you are actively becoming. Within that productive blur, reality is meticulously reconfiguring itself at a deeper, more fundamental level. This stage is scientifically known as a phase transition. It occurs when energy surpasses its previous threshold, compelling the system to form an entirely new structure. When these three practices, observation, breath, and space, are combined and consistently applied, you will notice that change does not strike like a sudden lightning bolt, but rather flows with the gentle yet powerful persistence of a river, gradually pulling you into a new, more aligned frequency. This is precisely why you can sometimes feel like a completely different person overnight. Your system reached its internal threshold, and the old pattern collapsed instantly. But prior to that instantaneous shift, the system invariably trembles and vibrates intensely, like a violin string that must be tightened almost to its breaking point before it can produce the perfect, resonant tone. The tension, in this context, is the essential condition for eventual harmony. Neurologically, a similar process unfolds within the brain. When you are learning a new pattern or skill, old neural connections must first weaken to create the necessary space for new ones to form and strengthen. This process can manifest as feelings of fatigue, heightened distraction, and even moments of self-doubt. Yet, within that apparent disorder, your brain is diligently constructing entirely new pathways. Once these new pathways stabilize, you experience a profound sense of lightness, clarity, and effortless functioning. Spiritually, this intense period is often recognized as the dark night of the soul, while in the language of quantum physics, it represents the vital reorganization of probability fields. The quantum field doesn't evolve through linear, incremental progress, but through dynamic cycles of collapse and profound reformation. When you find yourself in the vortex of such a process, your sole task is not to resist it, and certainly not to label the turbulence as inherently negative. Remember, no energy is truly negative. It is simply energy that has not yet been fully understood or integrated. During this stage, unusual signs may begin to appear. You might encounter people who had previously left your life, or old situations may reappear in novel forms, almost as if to test whether you have truly shifted frequencies. If you react in your old, habitual way, the loop will persist. But if you can remain calm, centered, and non-reactive, the loop will dissolve. This is not a form of punishment, but rather a crucial measurement or calibration of how stable and resilient your new frequency has become. The system will not allow you to fully transition to a higher energetic range until you are steady enough to consistently sustain it. Every challenge you encounter at this stage has a profound purpose, and each time you navigate through one with conscious awareness, you significantly strengthen your new vibration. Many individuals frequently ask how to truly know if they have effectively shifted their frequency. The answer is remarkably simple. Resistance significantly decreases. Life doesn't necessarily become easier by removing all challenges. Rather, it becomes more fluid and graceful by removing internal conflict. The very things that once deeply upset or provoked you now simply evoke a gentle smile or a sense of detached amusement. The places that once triggered intense anxiety now feel neutral, even calm. You no longer actively seek external evidence or validation. You are the evidence of the shift. This marks the phase where your energy becomes profoundly fluid, like water after the ice has broken, flowing freely and effortlessly, without internal friction. Everything begins to feel natural and aligned, not because the outer world has fundamentally changed, but because you have ceased creating inner resistance. During this transformative process, your physical body also undergoes subtle, yet significant fine adjustments. Your energy centers, often referred to as chakras, activate more strongly, particularly those around the heart and the head. Many individuals report experiencing gentle pulsations, subtle vibrations, or subtle currents of energy moving throughout their being. These are clear physiological signs of internal energy release. and recalibration. Your electromagnetic field naturally expands, your energetic resonance increases, and you begin to effortlessly attract opportunities, people, and events that are perfectly aligned with your new, higher frequency. Everything manifests faster, feels lighter, and unfolds with remarkable synchronicity. However, to truly reach this point, you must first pass through a phase of dissolution. No true creation occurs without a preceding, controlled destruction of the old. The universe never pushes you beyond your inherent capacity. It only brings you to the precise threshold from which your system is ready and capable of rebuilding itself anew. When you feel like you are metaphorically breaking apart, it is often the old, limiting structure breaking open to create essential space for the new to emerge. Trust this profound process, even if your rational mind doesn't fully comprehend every aspect of it. For comprehension is typically the work of the logical mind, while trust is the deeper work of the soul. Each time you consciously choose trust, your energy field expands. Each time you succumb to doubt, it contracts. Choosing trust is not a form of blind faith, but a conscious resonance with the natural flow of universal energy. When the storm of transformation finally passes, you will experience the profound miracle that nothing essential was truly lost. Only what no longer genuinely belonged to your highest path has gracefully departed. Everything that is truly needed for your new frequency remains, transformed into a higher, more refined form. You feel simultaneously light, yet full, quiet, yet profoundly alive. This newfound peace is not the artificial silence of rigid control, but the organic, vibrant calm of deep alignment, like a tranquil lake after its waves have fully settled. Then, you will understand with crystal clarity that chaos was never your adversary. It was, in truth, the powerful rhythm of the universe, gently yet firmly shaking you awake from the illusion of static stability, reminding you that evolution, by its very nature, never ceases. Looking back, you will see that you were never truly off your path. You were simply navigating the essential compression phase that precedes every significant expansion. And when that grand expansion inevitably arrives, you are no longer your old self. Not because you have become someone fundamentally different, but because you have powerfully remembered and reclaimed who you truly are at your core. You no longer strive to become. You return to your natural, authentic state, where action arises from a place of inherent fullness rather than perceived lack. You no longer feel the need to control reality, because you realize that you and reality are, in essence, one. This marks the profound end of chaos, not through externally imposed order, but through the emergence of natural, internal coherence. Everything aligns effortlessly when internal resistance truly ceases, and in that transcendent moment, you know you have entered a higher plane of awareness, where all motion is harmony, and peace is no longer a distant goal, but the natural, foundational state of your existence. When your energy begins to stabilize after this period of intense restructuring, you enter an entirely different phase, where every movement, every interaction, becomes light, profoundly refined, and rhythmically ordered. This is the state that scientists might refer to as resonance, while those who have journeyed deeply along the inner path call it coherence. Everything in your life begins to unfold with impeccable timing. Meetings that seem serendipitous, opportunities that appear precisely when they are most needed, and intuitive ideas that arise at the exact right moment. You no longer feel the need to forcefully push against the current, because the flow itself effortlessly carries you forward. This is not magic or coincidence in the traditional sense, but the natural consequence of a precise phase alignment between your inner energetic frequency and the vast quantum field of possibilities. When your inner frequency achieves this state of unwavering stability, it emits a clear, consistent, and powerful signal. The quantum field, in turn, responds by arranging probabilities that correspond perfectly to that coherent signal. This powerful mechanism is known as constructive interference. When two waves that are perfectly in phase meet, their amplitudes amplify each other, and the resulting energy multiplies exponentially. In the context of your life, this manifests as outcomes materializing faster and with greater ease, not because you are necessarily doing something entirely new, but because you have ceased canceling out your own inherent energy through ingrained patterns of doubt and fear. In the past, whenever you consciously desired something, you often unconsciously emitted two opposing frequencies, one of explicit wanting and another of subtle or overt fearing. These two conflicting energies effectively neutralized each other, creating a state of energetic inertia. Now, because you are no longer splitting your focus and energy, your coherent current gathers in a single, powerful direction, and the universe only requires that one, clear, unwavering signal to respond with precision and speed. True synchronicity and effortless manifestation do not arise from strenuous effort, but from the precise, unwavering alignment between your emotions, thoughts, and actions. When these three fundamental vectors are profoundly coherent, the quantum field perceives this as a stable and clear command and collapses probabilities accordingly. In other words, you no longer passively hope for your external reality to change. You actively become the energetic frequency of the reality you wish to experience. Every external reality is, at its core, simply stabilized energy, and you can only consistently experience that which perfectly matches your dominant vibration. When you diligently maintain internal balance and coherence, external reality,